Oh, hi, friends. It's one of your favorite upcoming legendary children, Foxy Grandpa. And today we're going to be talking about Paris is Burning. It's the 4th week of Pride Month, and it's a small fame, but it's a fame nonetheless. Wait. Stop. Collaborate and listen. Hit him with the content warning. Well, in case you can't tell, I may have been recording some of these back to back. So my eyebrows are still kind of glued down, despite my best efforts, and a full day at work. Yeah, let me put my hair back, block what I can left of my eyebrows, and I'll see you in a second. Alright, Paris is Burning. Where to begin? Whew. Well, if you've ever watched RuPaul's Drag Race, or ever said, yes, queen, or read somebody, or thrown shade, or used those words in any sort of terminology, you are taking from this deep lexicon that comes from like the late 1980s queer, black, and Latino sort of specific subculture, ball culture, if you will, and that is what the focus of this, I hope I said that correctly, that is what the focus of this documentary is on. And yes, it is a documentary, but like it feels like a movie. It moves really, it's paced very well. It's directed by Janine Livingston, who is problematic as a figure as part of this movie, and we'll get to that later. But first, let's talk about the movie and all the wonderful people inside of it. And to begin, I'm going to start, because I forgot to put on my base before I do my eyebrows, like I'd like to do lately. I'm going to throw on some of this Bobbi Brown enriched, vitamin enriched face base real fast. So the movie comes out in 1990. The movie itself is divided up into a series of like placards, where it's like black with white lettering, and it tells you what's about to happen, or what they're about to tell you about. And the first one is New York, 1987, right? It's midnight on the streets by the pier. There's dancing, there's talking, all sort of, the queer people are out, if you will. And then we get cut to Salon Savoy Manor, and we get a clip of our very first, one of our many balls that we're going to see in this movie, which frankly, just watching it for the balls is worth it alone. Alright, Cryoline TV, paint stick, usual business. Foundation. Alright, and then we get our first introduction to Pepper LaBeija, who is the legendary mother of the household LaBeija, and we'll get to know them a little bit more later. Our next placard is ball, and we sort of get a series of explanations of what a ball is. And it's essentially gay men get together and decide to have a competition amongst themselves. And then we get a lot of clips of people saying they feel like it's okay, like they feel right being gay in there. And a really sort of like almost tragic sort of like, the balls are the closest we'll ever get to being rich and fancy, which is at the time true, and frankly is kind of true still in some ways, which is bullshit, but anyway. And then we get somebody, I should have written down more names, who felt they were cheated out of sort of the advantages that rich people had, like, a good education and lots of opportunities for hobbies and sort of cultivate their intellect. And they feel like this is the closest they'll ever get to it. And then we meet Kim Pendavas. Well, first we meet Freddie Pendavas, who is sewing Kim's stuff at the machine. but he is legendary. He has goals. He says he wants an Oscar. Then we get a sort of discussion about how he's not like legendary, and he doesn't like that word because it means he's been around too long. And he's not one of the children because he's well known, so he's an upcoming legendary children. There you go. And then we meet one of, honestly, the best personalities of the entire thing, Dory and Corey, who, there's a fun, I don't know if I'm going to call it fun fact, but interesting story about something that was found in their apartment later that if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about, but if not, stay tuned for the end of this video and I'll talk about it at the end. She is full of all sorts of amazing quotes. She says she likes the balls because it's a high that doesn't hurt you, which is something to think about, right? And then we sort of get a brief history of the balls, how it used to be all about wanting to be like a Las Vegas showgirl, and then in the 70s it went to wanting to look like a movie star like Liz Taylor or Marilyn Monroe. And now in the 80s, it's all about wanting to look like a supermodel, right? Let's contour. And then they started talking about how they expanded categories so that like everybody could get involved, which I think is great, personally. If you have a body, if you're fashionable, if you're pretty, if you look real, there's something for everyone, you know? This is the same Ben Nye cream foundation. This is light pink and hazelnut, I think. Categories include Miss Cheesecake, military, town and country, exclusive country club, high fashion evening wear, schoolboy, schoolgirl realness, executive realness, butch queen first time in drag. So one interesting thing to note is that at least for the person speaking at this moment in the documentary, the point of drag, and I think a lot of people think drag is about like making fun of gender and satire, and for a lot of drag performers it is, but for these specific performers it's not. It's actually, they're trying to like emulate this as closely as possible. And Dorian says it's almost like a sort of going back into the closet, which is sort of interesting to think about. And then we cut back to Pepper LaBeija, and we get a sort of a heartbreaking story of how his dad saw him dressed up. His mom sort of rejected him. His mom burnt up his own mink coat. And then, was sort of kicked out of the house. And he wore Jungle Gardenia as perfume, which I tried to find and they don't make anymore, but they do make like a Gardenia, I think 1933 or Givenchy or whatever, something, whoever makes it. But it was way too expensive for me to buy, so I sadly could not. And then we meet one of the most heartbreaking figures of the whole thing. Hold on, let me get it. Venus Extravaganza. She wants to be a spoiled rich white girl. She 100% absolutely feels like a girl. She wants the sex chains as soon as she can get it. And was on the street at 13 years old, which, yikes. Hard yikes. I don't know what kind of God is telling you to throw your kids out on the street, but that ain't no good God, that's for damn sure. Anyway, I'll get off my soapbox. And then we get our introduction to the next placard, House, which is all about, essentially, families for people who don't have family. Someone else calls them gay street gang, except instead of fights, they fight it out by walking categories in the ball. And then we get introduced to a number of the houses, and generally you have to walk a ball to join a house. Venus Extravaganza was 15, and they just sort of like let her in, so she's like, I was special. And then we meet Angie Extravaganza, the mother of the House of Extravaganza. She ran away at 14, and the mother basically takes them in and lets them live with them. And the mother of the year at the ball is Angie Extravaganza, and it's very exciting and heartwarming. And then we meet Willie Ninja. He's the best voguer, mother of the House of Ninja. He said he named his house Ninja because they hit hard, fast, and they are invisible assassins, which is super cool. And then we see a clip of a ball where there's a fight where it's like a men's category, but the crowd is like, but half the crowd is like, it's a woman's code, it's a woman's code, it doesn't count, and there's this like huge uproar over it, which is sort of a very interesting thing to think about. And then we start to learn about shade. So as Dorian Gray starts, shade comes from reading, and reading is sort of is essentially like a fight or a slur in straight world. Now shade is different than reading. Reading is just sort of like an insult. Shade is like, as Dorian Gray puts it, I don't have to tell you you're ugly, but that's because you know that you're ugly, right? And frankly, I think the best example of recent shade would be when Aretha Franklin was asked about various modern singers and her opinion on them in some sort of interview. And they asked her what she thought about Taylor Swift. And she just sort of paused for a moment and went, beautiful gowns. She wears just beautiful gowns on the red carpet. And said nothing else. Now that is shade. Because she doesn't need to tell you that she thinks Taylor Swift isn't a good singer. It's already there, right? You know, so... and then voguing came from shade, which is sort of like a dance version of shade. It's sort of like a battle. And voguing came from the magazine Vogue, from the poses like the models would do, right? Willie Ninja's favorite one is the compact one. Let me see if I can do it. So it's like you start with like a... And that's me, like, I did my makeup, and then I checked your makeup, and I looked at you, and it was like, oh no, you're so ugly, I have to fix your makeup. It was a very bad imitation of it, but... that's super fun to do. And then there's a lot of talk about surviving as a gay black man in white America. Which, I mean, frankly, for that alone, this is sort of worth the watch. But... and then Octavia St. Laurent. She wants to transition to female very badly. Loves the model Paulina. So cute. But first we get a clip of Willie Ninja teaching a bunch of women models how to walk. Or at least how to hold themselves on like the Upper West Side of New York, and it's really cute and funny. We get a moment of Dorian Gray lamenting how like it used to be what you could make out of stuff. And now it's all about like what you can buy and what designers you have, which frankly echoes very similarly to what I hear on a lot of the recent criticisms of the recent seasons of RuPaul's Drag Race. This is also intercut with scenes of Octavia shopping for I think Barney's or whatever for name brand stuff. And then so like you're thinking like, you know, these people don't necessarily have high-paying jobs. Like, how are they getting the money to pay for this? And we're introduced to the term mopping, which is essentially stealing an outfit for a ball. And the balls generally start later, so that the quote-unquote, you know, the working girls can make sure that they can get there on time. Because, like, they don't really talk about it, but yeah, there's the hard inclusion that... Wasn't somebody I think says like 90% of them are, or Venus says 90% of the people at the balls are hustlers, which I think is just, you know, another term for like sex workers. Venus doesn't want to hustle anymore. She's worried about AIDS, because mind you, this is during the AIDS epidemic. She's worried about dopes. She says she's gonna go meet some young guy that she's known before, and he's gonna give her some money and it's gonna be fine. She justifies her hustling because the guy's married, but like the wife sleeps with the husband to get a new washer dryer. So what's the difference? I guess I don't know. She seems kind of sad about it. Octavia is trying to do some modeling shoots. She is very, very pretty. And however, we talked to Pepper, and Pepper would never want to sex shame. They like performing as a woman, but enjoy staying a man. And let me powder my face. This is the same kimchi Puff Puff Pass powder. Alright, and then we briefly meet Brooke and Carmen Extravaganza. I think it's Brooke. I could be wrong, who has already had the sex change. One of them has already had it. The other one really wants it, and they're on the beach, and she talks about how free and happy she is, and it's just a really wonderful moment. Alright, before we get on to the Ford model search at the mall, which is an incredible moment in this movie, I'm gonna let this bake for a few minutes. I'm gonna dust it off. We'll be right back. Alright. This is a jar I reused, and it has powder in it. Don't worry about what it used to be. I'm gonna powder it under my eyes, just to accidentally catch any fallout. Because I've been forgetting to do that lately. So I think I'm just gonna do like a really aggressive liner on this, I think. Alright, where were we? Oh yes. Octavia goes to the Ford model search at the mall. Very 80s. But not to worry, we have Eileen Ford's tips to be a good model. First, be helpful. Next, never say the clothes are terrible, even if they are. Make it look good. Be easy. Be cooperative. Be careful. Nobody cares about your troubles. Oh man, she is a very interesting person. We'll say that. Alright, so technically this is eye primer. Technically this is black eye primer that I'm about to use, but I'm gonna use it like paint and sort of paint in here a little bit. And then so we learned that voguing is getting popular because of ever since the Madonna movie hit. Willie Ninja's teaching all sorts of classes. And he finally took the House of Ninja to Japan, which had kind of been a goal that he had stated early on. It was really cute and really sweet and really awesome to see. And then, yeah, it's all going real well, right? And it feels like going to be a real heartwarming movie. And then, BAM! So apparently, Venus Extravaganza was murdered in a motel room somewhere. As far as I know, her murder remains unsolved. I'll put some links down below if you're interested in learning more. But essentially, they found her after 4 days. She had been strangled to death, which, like, Jesus Christ, if you know anything about that, is a horrific way to die. There's thoughts that it might have been like a transphobic attack. It's hard to say at this point, especially after so long a time, unfortunately. But of course, you know, sex workers and transsexuals go to the bottom of the police care list. So, you know, whatever. Yeah, and then we get a little bit of the rest at the end, but that's sort of like most of the movie. Alright, this is the Blowing Smoke color pop palette. I'm just gonna press it into a little bit here. Alright, so I'm going with the Kimchi Cheek Mango Tango palette. Eyeshadow. So Jenny Livingston, the director, I mentioned earlier she was considered a little bit problematic. Besides the fact that she's like a privileged white woman coming into this space, which apparently everyone initially really welcomed her into, she would say things like, there's record of her saying stuff like asking some of the people who took part of the film, like, okay, which ones are the thieves that I should look out for? Which is just like really messed up. Also, just personally from the way I watch a lot of interviews with her and the cast, because I got nothing better to do, on YouTube and stuff, and just like the way she kind of speaks for them and talks over them, I find really irritating and problematic. I'll put a link somewhere if I can find it. There's gonna be a lot of links. I'm gonna put a link to a video called Life After Paris is Burning, that talks about what happened to a lot of the people after the movie. Octavia is specifically seen on camera saying that she thinks that it's a terrible movie. So they think that a lot of people who took part in it think that they were exploited, and a lot of the advertising was very much like, you know, it's the prostitutes, tramps, hookers, and sort of like the degenerates of society, right? And they did not appreciate that sort of representation. I mean, who would, really? Supposedly, and I think I might watch this at some point, there's another movie called How Do I Look from 2006, which is a 10-year look, which is supposed to be a response to Paris is Burning. So I'd be very interested to seeing what that's about, because the first time I heard about it was just sort of randomly scrolling through YouTube videos trying to do research for this. Yeah, and there's also something about how, like, Paris Dupree was, like, originally one of the pioneers of Vogue, but didn't get a lot of representation in there. There's a whole lot of issues with this movie, but I feel like it's a really great primer for somebody very unfamiliar to this world. That being said, I'll also put a link to the Joan Rivers show interview that I really like, because Joan Rivers is just great. Alright, what color is this? This is dragon fruit I'm putting in here. I'm probably going to put a little bit underneath as well. Maybe a little sky blue on the sides from this palette. I'm probably going to cover it with a little bit of glitter. Dust off this. I'm telling you this because I'm going to fast forward through it because I've run out of things to say and I still have makeup to do. And then I'll stop before I do the rest of face and lips. Yeah, cool. So that glitter was a Trixie Mattel Melon Baller Sparklers. And I'm going in with like a NYX pen just to touch up some of the liner a bit. And then I'm going to hit it with a little mascara, and then we're going to contour. I think I'm just going to contour with some brown eyeshadow. This is like a ColourPop palette. I've got... Ooh, we're gonna do a Back to the Fuchsia blush, and yeah, and we'll check it back in for lips. Alright, we're gonna put on some lashes, some extra embellishments. This Crown Magenta lipstick and a Trixie Mattel Melodrama lip gloss, and then a little highlight lip gloss in between, some glitter, lashes, and I'll see you right before I put on the look. Do lashes after lips because the lashes are big. So I'm gonna go in with this Amethyst NYX lip liner, these Trixie Mattel Melodrama, and then this is just like a Crown lipstick, and then like a little bit of light lip gloss, maybe a little more glitter, and then lashes, and then I'll see you in a second. Alright, I'm gonna wait for these lashes to dry and then throw on, oh there you are, and then throw on a look, and yeah, let's finish this up. Oh, hello friends. Woo! Paris is burning and so are my eyeballs, but oh man. Woo! So I'm gonna give the people in this 5 out of 5. They're obviously super amazing. I'm gonna give the people in this 5 out of 5. I'm gonna give overall 4 out of 5 because I'm not a huge fan of how the director treated some of the people in this movie. But yeah, either way, I feel like this should be a cultural, everyone should see this touchstone sort of movie. Yeah, Paris is burning. Dig it. Happy 4th week of Pride, y'all. Woo! Yeah, I just wanted to be fabulous. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Have a good morning, good afternoon, good night, whatever you are. Yeah. See you next time. Bye.